Okay.
Hey everyone, my name is Rachel Venner. I'm here with Nattalee from Align with Your Design. I had a reading with Nattalee last year around, I think it was end of November, early December. It was amazing. It was transformative. I'm super, super grateful. Um, I vetted a lot of different people out and landed on Nattalee, and it was so incredible. So I wanted to ask Nattalee back and just delve in a little bit deeper with a few questions. So thank you, Nattalee, so much for taking a few minutes and coming back so I could learn a little bit more about you and your journey with human design.
Oh,
Um,
thanks. Thank you,
yeah.
Rachel. It's great to be here with you. You're got great energy, and it was really, I loved your questions. You were very, very, very thorough in your initial exploration of human design.
Thank you. Yes, yes, I'm a very thorough person classically. Yeah, so I'd love to know a little bit more about your journey with human design, how you found it, maybe a little bit about your personal design, and then how you've evolved into working with human design.
Oh, okay. Well, um, yeah, I mean, I've been a seeker like a lot of people, and started in my mid to late 20s, with astrology and American Indian, philosophies and practices, all of that stuff. So I was very much on the journey. And I actually worked for professional speakers and trainers and that delivered training. So, it was really my livelihood. It has been my whole life. And in my early 40s, human design had only been around a few years, and a friend of mine who was at a different kind of workshop on a completely different topic met this psychiatrist, and he was trained in human design. And she called me up on the break and said, "Do you know if you're a generator, a manifester, a projector?" And I swear, the minute I heard those words, they just got in my ears, and I just felt like this hook had pulled me. And so she introduced me to who he studied with. And I lived in San Diego at the time, and so San Diego was like a little bit of hotbed for human design, and I was able to study in person with a couple different teachers who are still now teaching. And when I first heard my design, when I had, my reading, my first analysis, and I'm a generator, a pure sacral generator. When I heard that I was to wait to respond, I was really taken back because I thought that I lived my life like a manifester, or more like a manifesting generator. And my energy was always going out, and I was always managing other people. And I was very conditioned, both from my culture and society, to be very extroverted. Well, come to find out, it's really natural for me to be very introverted. But so here I was, this real extrovert, go, busy, busy, busy all the time. And when I heard wait to respond, I was like, oh, I had never ever considered that. So I really took it on because I thought, well, my life isn't working that great anyway. I'm going to really see what this is about. So I continued my studies. And I think a big difference for me is that I got to study in person with people, and we did a lot of different experiential workshops in the first couple years of my study. And even when I went on to become an analyst, I got to study in person. So, it was just, I have the 49 to the 26. I'm like being in the right place at the right time. I'll show people like, what's that? What's she talking about? Let me show you here 1 second. My chart. So, so this is me. So, because I have this defined ego, willpower, and the sacral, I've just got all this energy, but I was always giving it away. I think that's the point I want to make, is that I was always giving it away. And it was about, I don't know, within the first year or so, when I really, and I'm a meditator, and I would just like, I encourage other people to do this. You don't have to be a deep meditator. It can just be even just in a quiet stillness place of really like checking in and saying hello to your design, right? And I remember early on, just like dropping into my sacral. And I kind of heard, you know, and I don't know, it was just kind of this big, huge aha that I was, what if I kept some of this energy for myself? And, I started crying, because it's like, wow, that's true. I'm always giving my energy away. So all the things that traditional human design talks about and strategies, wait to respond, I took them to heart. And the other thing about my design is that when you're single definition, you can get really thrown off by any of the open centers, and especially people that are emotional. People that are emotional, depending on what their mood is, can really affect me, others that don't have that colored in. So one of the strategies that was suggested to me was to not make any decisions when I was around other people, because I wouldn't be in my own energy. I'd be experiencing other people. So I would offer that to those that are either, undefined or have this open emotional center here. The one over on the right is to be aware of how that can flavor who you are. So I started doing that. I started, like, people would ask me something and I'd say, well, let me get back to you on that. And I'd wait till they were around me. And then I'd just, do some kind of a quiet thing, or I'd have somebody ask me yes or no questions that, I didn't think would influence me, or over the phone or whatever, to really get in touch with my truth, which I don't have a lot to go on. It's pretty primitive. I have no, it's like, I have a very simple design, not easy, but pretty simple. So it's really about, what am I responding to? So, over the years, so this is almost 22 years, 1999. So over 20 years ago, when I first found this, and of course, at the very beginning stages, I tried a lot of things. I was really aware. I really tracked, with journal and so forth, like, what am I really responding to? And there's been a lot of speed bumps along the way. The mind, this open head and ajna, I mean, all kinds of things float through, and it's like, oh, that's a great idea. I think I'll go do that. And then it's like, a month later or 2 weeks or whatever, it's like, oh, did I really respond to that? Or, oh, I just had an idea that I could go do that. I didn't really have something to respond to. So it's been an interesting journey. I think one thing that I would like to, bookmark for people, especially if you're sacral generator, but I think any manifesting generator, anyone, I just invite you to test this out. It's like, we're faced with a lot of different things, a lot of emails, phone calls. Most people are, freelancing or getting a business started or a side hustle or whatever. And it's like, for generators, it's like, what do you really have energy for? And maybe you're not a meditator or someone that can sit still. The other strategy is walk. generators like to move their bodies, most of them anyway. There's energy there that wants to move. And I have found, I can't tell you how many times when I don't even know that I'm thinking about something or considering something, and just go out for my walk, and it seems like it just like bubbles up in like right in front of me. It's like, oh, I really don't want to do that, or oh, I really don't have energy for that. And one example that just popped in, it's like there was a coach that I was going through her training, and I really, really liked her a lot and liked her program and her approach. And she offered a new program, and she did her sample session or whatever, the intro to it. And I signed up right away. Mm-hmm. And that was it. It was like, I really loved her. I had an affinity. I liked what she was going to teach. And then later that day, I went for a walk, and I wasn't even thinking about it. And it just like came up to me. It's like, oh, but I don't have the energy for it. Mm. So I know there's a lot of philosophies and a lot of teachings out there. Follow your heart. The heart is everything. Yes. And for someone like this, someone that's a sacral being or an emotional being, it's like, do you really have your inner authority that, okay, now I can give my heart to this or not?
Yeah.
So those would be two main things: is being still and being quiet and talking to your design, or at least hello sacral. Mm-hmm. And also, just moving the body and just allowing it to come to you. And it's not such a forced mental kind of thing. So.
Yeah. Amazing. Thanks. It's so true. Just the more we can learn about our design and everything, how transformative it can be. I know and I think it's just been 2 months, maybe a little bit more since the reading that I did with you. And I've just learned so much about my own design. So, yeah. So what brought you from really delving deep and being so passionate and learning so much about your own design and how to apply it, to being inspired to want to, now you're coaching people both personally and also with their business on their design. So what really inspired you to delve into that?
Actually, the first couple years that I studied human design, 2 or 3 years, yeah, then people started saying, well, show me mine and tell me about mine. Mm-hmm. And so I responded, said, yeah, sure. And then I went, oh, well, I guess I better come and become an analyst, because I'm telling people about their design. So I went through the analyst training, and through IHDS. I'm a first generation IHDS, International Human Design School. I'm a first generation certified analyst. And then people were saying to me, well, can I talk to you in a month or so and see how I'm doing? Could you coach me? I mean, literally, why I can be so passionate and so, I guess, confident is that it really was response. I had no intention of helping other people with their human design, because my life was not all that great back then. And I was like, I want to get healthy. I want to see what this can do for me. And the rest just kind of came on its own. So that part is, how did that happen? But the other part is that I worked for professional speakers and trainers, and I was like the back of the room person, or I was selling the seminar tickets. So I was, the face that people would recognize about this speaker or that speaker. And so it was a coaching culture. I worked in a coaching culture. And so I had the skills naturally that I learned, from that side, from, the speakers, how to ask questions and how to engage the clients and how to take the clients to the next segment or the next program. And so I had all those skills. And then I started my own coaching business. And then I found human design and I went, oh my gosh, this just cuts through so much. I am not going to have to guess, what people, why they can progress or why they cannot progress. It just answered so many questions. It came from that culture where it's like, it's like, I just knew so much more about people. It's like I could have so much more compassion for people, just like, we talked about in another segment was talking about the 1-3 profile, or I'm a 6-2 profile. So I talk to you differently if you're a 1-3 than if you're a 2-4, than if you're a 3-5, etc., all the way. I want to engage you and help people not only learn it this way, but be able to see it in their life and enhance that and cultivate and recognize both the higher frequencies and the wonderful things that a 1-3 does, and some of the not so wonderful things that a 1-3 does. And so that you can see, oh, I'm really, I've gone deep enough.
Yeah.
Okay, I hit the bottom enough. Now you're just hiding out, right? So that would be an example of a 1-3. So it was like I came from the coaching world, then I found human design, then I just naturally meshed them together, and people were asking me, can you coach me? So people come to me for usually 2 different main reasons. One is relationship, either the one they're in or the one they want to be in. And of course, human design gives us a lot to go on to help harmonize our relationships, even the ones that are not so harmonized to begin with. Having human design can make the difference in that. And the other thing is that people want to know, like you did, I'm crafting a new business. And I want to do it so that it works for me too, right? So that I've had burnout before, or I've had this happen before. I really want my business to be aligned with who I am.
Yeah.
So that there's a lot of information in human design about that, and I use that. But I also have another tool that I use that's part of human design or came from human design, which is the Genius Report. And I don't want to go into that whole topic. I've got 3 videos on that people just want to look to find out more about the Genius Report, but it gives a lot of specificity about business. So I have it from human design, but it's kind of written in a little different language through the Genius Report that is more, that relates to people when they're just thinking about their business.
And what would you say the Genius Report shows, like some of the top things?
Well, there's like, should we work alone? Where do we get our results? Do we get our results working alone, with one other person, corporate? So there's like 6 different ways of looking at how do we get our results. Knowing what our real talent is. I mean, we all do a lot of different things. Most people have a business, or even if you freelance or whatever, you have to do some marketing. We all have to present ourselves. So which part of the marketing cycle is where your real talents lie? And also looks at the money and how we naturally handle money. It looks like how we negotiate. Is it better for us to approach people, or is it better for people to approach us? Those are just few of the highlights. Great. And some of that is described in the videos that I've done.
That's awesome. Thank you. What would you say is your distinct approach to coaching? Like, how specifically? I know part of the reason, and actually I'd love to share, that I felt drawn to you. Well, our connection, the consultation call, and you really wanted to understand where I was at in my life and my specific things, which I sourced out a handful of other people, which I mentioned on our first call, and I didn't receive that from other people. It was more just signing up for a reading, whereas you were really finding out the challenges I was facing and what I was specifically wanting to work through. So that was like massively powerful. And then the other thing actually was really interesting to me is you have so much experience with human design and also the gene keys. But I haven't had the opportunity to work with you in a coaching aspect yet, although that's something I know we've been talking about that I'm interested in. But yeah, I would love if you could expand on your specific coaching approach in working with people and either personally with their business, what your style is.
Well, when I do 20-minute consultations, and in that time, part of it is me getting to know you as you're bringing up. It's like, this is not about me. If coaching is all about the client, right? So where are you? Where are you coming from? What's your mindset? What's your consciousness? What's your self-awareness? What's your background? And whatever is relevant will come up in those couple of questions that I ask everybody. Plus, it really connects us. It's like, whoa, I really get you.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at your design. It's like, well, sometimes, I can see how this could be challenging for you or how you can enhance that. So part of my approach is really taking everybody exactly where they're at. And some people really grasp human design, or they, the way that I explain it really works for them, and they can grasp it and they can begin, their journey of the experiment or the testing out. And so, and others have a little harder time grasping it. So I can only go as fast as the client can go. So again, it's really all about them. And, I have not only human design and the gene keys and the genius report. Like I said, I've been a seeker and have stopped along the way of my path for over 30 some years. And so there's many things that I bring to the table for people, and to be able to support them. And I have a way of seeing where the developmental gaps are. Where are you now and where you want to be, and how do you get from point A to point B? And so with human design, I'm able, any coach might be able to ask those questions, but I actually have a tool in my own experience to help people get from point A to point B a lot quicker. I mean, you're still going to get to point B, but when? and if someone, if I have the tools to point out to people, I call them cracks in the sidewalk. I don't know, it's just a metaphor that came to me, but we all have these little cracks in our designs. We have these things that can trip us up. And, it's like, I would want somebody to tell me what's going to trip me up. So why wouldn't I do the same for my clients? And so when we know what's going to trip us up, then we don't have to fall on our face. Yeah. It's like that crack never goes away, but it can be like it's not that big of a deal, like an open center or a split, or, for me, I have all those open centers. I am aware that, when I feel who I am in myself and when I do not. Mm-hmm. Does it mean like other people don't come along and try to pull the rug out from under me? Yes, they still do. Once in a while, I get tripped up, but it doesn't happen as often. And I know what I need to do to get back to my center, to get back to what's authentic for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I've really found that since working with you, I've been able also to really get a lot of more comfort with what does trip me up. And also I love the fact that you sent a voice recording, because I've been able to, versus just having a one-to-one reading, I've probably listened to this recording like 7 or 8 times since our session, and it really helps me to integrate it over time versus other times when I've had different readings or things done. I've taken a lot of notes. I take a lot of notes and I have to go back, but it's just so helpful that, because like you said, it's a process of working on what trips us up and learning about ourselves and everything. And it's amazing. It's really been helping me, and I know that it's not like a one time thing, that I'm going to come back and back to it again. And yeah, I really appreciate your work. It's been so transformative.
Well, thank you so much. It's been an honor, and I've enjoyed working with you. And you bring up a really good point. I myself listened to my recording many, many times. And I used to and I still do on my birthday every year. It's like I'll either read some gene keys, or I'll dig into something in the unconscious in my chart, or I'll read something, or something about my personal chart, and it still fortifies me after all these years. It
Yeah,
still fortifies me, and I'll go, oh yes, I want to bring more of that forward. So
totally.
anything that's on the red side or the unconscious, it's like we need to keep, I do anyway, to be reminded of it, and not just like what trips me up, but what's the real gift in that. So, yeah, it's a process, and it is human design. If you really want to get, the goodies from it, is to, you know, take some time with it. There's so much out there. I want to end on this note about this path of awakening, and so many people awakening, and so many people, with the kind of questions like, how do I get this relationship to work better? How do I get my work to work better? Like human design can actually answer your question. Maybe not in the way you think it's going to get answered, but it can answer your question. And if people will just give human design a chance, and you don't have to learn the whole system, just every once in a while listen to a video, or re-listen to your reading, or read something about it, or have a conversation, get your friends interested in human design, so you can at least keep the conversation going. You don't have to know the whole system to benefit from it. And it's not just putting it all in your head. You have to pay it. It's a path to awakening. And
Mhm.
awakening and awareness, it's like being aware of how it shows up in our lives.
Yeah.
So yeah, so thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about my journey, and how it relates with yours and your experience with it. And I'm so glad that human design has been on your path. It's part of your journey now. And who knows, how you'll shine in 3 years or 5 years from now, when, just staying a little bit connected to it. And it really just keeps on giving gifts to us.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Nattalee. The 3 months has been very, very life changing. And yeah,
It
I
is
think
a transformative tool for sure. Yes, it is.
thank
Okay,
you
well,
so
thank you
much.
so much. And please put your comments below, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and let me know what else you'd love to hear from me. So thank you so much.
Thank you.